Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. We are now a few days in United in Stormwind, and it's possible to start looking at the early meta a little bit and see which decks are performing well. So United in Stormwind started with a blast with Quest Mage just dominating the ranks, and playing minions seemed to be utterly punishing, and then there were other totally uninteractive decks like some versions of Poison Rogue. But it didn't take long for people to figure out that, hey, aggro counters these decks, and then it was just a blast of face decks with face hunters and handbuff paladins that kill you with the Wind Fury minion and terror conviction buffs, and boom, 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 just people dying left and right. And then with aggro opening up a little bit of space from these completely uninteractive decks, there's suddenly a little bit of room also for slightly slower decks. Not exactly control, control is dead, but the sorts of mid-range decks are able to navigate that territory, having a chance against the Quest Mages, having a chance against aggro. And the situation is still developing, but that's pretty much where we're at the moment. And therefore, the 8 best decks in Hearthstone right now, right here. Number 8, Deathrattle Demon Hunter. Deathrattle Demon Hunter is one of the strongest mid-range decks in the game. So it is one of the few survivors, other than the completely uninteractive decks and then just face decks. Deathrattle Demon Hunter is a deck that I played to Legend myself this season. Not exactly this list, I used my own version, which doesn't have a good sample size yet, but according to statistics this is a perfectly capable deck. It has a lot of around 50-50 matchups, so you go into pretty much every game with a chance to win it, and it's also something that's nice sometimes. Deathrattle Demon Hunter isn't the only mid-range survivor. Another mid-range survivor that has now surfaced with Quest Mage numbers going down is Rush Warrior. Because Rush Warrior is pretty good at shutting down aggro, it can shut down face hunters, it can even contest handbuff paladins, but it really takes a beating from Quest Mage. So if you were to play Rush Warrior in the first 2 days of the expansion, you would have had a miserable experience. But right now, Rush Warrior is a little bit more playable again. There's Cult Neophytes in this deck, there's Farwitch Posts. These are getting pretty much standard tech cards right now against all of the non-interactive decks. We'll see if they will stick, or if they will be usable deeper into the expansion, or if they're just a temporary fix. But if you don't have a lot of new cards, then Rush Warrior, mostly old cards, but still serviceable deck. The decks that have been driving these Quest Mages away from ladder are these pure aggro decks, and the weakest of them actually is Aggro Shaman. Even though Aggro Shaman is a nice deck, you get some minions on the board early, then you grab your Doomhammer, you smack face, but you do smack into the ice barrier, you don't have way to deal damage outside of that. So much of your damage can be countered by Quest Mages, you're still really strong in that matchup, but Aggro Shaman is a little weaker than most other aggro decks against these mid-range style decks like Elemental Shamans. Still one of the better choices for climbing the ladder. As number 5 I have a bit of a surprise deck, it's the Shadow Priest. Shadow Priest has turned out to be a serviceable archetype, there are multiple versions of this deck around, we still don't know what is the optimal list. For example, in this list Traveling Merchants are performing really poorly, I really don't see how they would continue to stay in the list. But surprisingly, Mindrender Illusia is the best performing card in this deck, because you have stuff on the board, your hand is empty, you Illusia, you give your opponent the empty hand, and you have stuff on the board and they can't contest it. Some pretty nasty surprises there. Also a good deck to take against Quest Mages. But the slower, more defensive strategies are much better equipped to handle a Shadow Priest. With all this talk about Quest Mage, well, how is Quest Mage positioned in the current meta? It was the dominant strategy for the first couple of days, and I would currently rate it as the 4th best archetype on the ladder. I especially like taking a list like this with Devolving Missiles in the ladder right now, because those Handbuff Paladins are everywhere, and Devolving Missiles can help you out a little bit against them. It's still just a strong game plan to prevent your opponent from doing stuff, then discounting everything you have, then play many cards per turn, and then boom, hit face infinitely and never go into fatigue. Yeah, that seems to work. Coming in at number 3 is the best of these old school mid-range archetypes. There's Deathrattle Demon Hunter, there's Rush Warrior, which are quite alright, but the best performing mid-range deck, like the best performing mid-range deck was in Fortune the Barrens, is Elemental Shaman. Elemental Shaman got some sweet upgrades, there's Granite Forgeborn especially, Canatslogger, Auction House Gavel, a couple of new cards in the list, which really also make running Alakir worth it, because discounted Alakir coming in even earlier, just sweet stuff. And while Elemental Shaman has its weaknesses against these completely uninteractive decks, it is in great position against other mid-range decks and against most aggro decks. So just a good deck to climb with. My number 2 pick for ladder right now is Face Hunter. Face Hunter is just an awesome deck. It's in great position right now, just dealing that damage, and it got aimed shot in the expansion, which is just phenomenal. So much damage. It's actually better than Kill Command used to be, so it was a really strong upgrade for Face Hunter. Now we're seeing some of these a little bit more defensive strategies surface. Face Hunter might struggle against them a little bit, but it's still fine against most mid-range decks, and it obliterates these quest decks. And the number 1 deck on the ladder right now is Handbuff Paladin. Handbuff Paladin is just immensely strong. You have Battleground Battlemaster, and then you have Conviction, and if you play Carrier Roam and you discount your Conviction to 0, then on 5 mana you can play Wind Fury for 2 minions and give both of those +3 attack, and boom, it's just so much damage. Basically, turn 5, turn 6 games just end with Handbuff Paladin. There are 2 competing approaches to Handbuff Paladin on the ladder at the moment. This list is Wooling's secret version, but the more mainstream approach is without secrets. However, I didn't feel comfortable recommending any of those mainstream decks because they run a lot of legendary cards, stuff like Moonfangs for example, that just don't seem to be good enough to make the cut, so I don't think most of those legendary cards will remain in the decks. They just seem far too weak to remain as part of those deck lists, so I really don't want to recommend a deck that has a bunch of legendary cards, and those are not something that I think will stay in the archetype, even though it's still unsettled whether the secret package or the one without secrets is going to be better in the long run. But this variant is a little bit cheaper and it's really effective at the moment, so this would be a recommendation for Handbuff Paladins, but I also recognize that the lists that do not run secrets are perfectly capable decks. Ixar tweeted that the Hearthstone design team is meeting next week to discuss possible balance changes, so there might be balance changes coming within the next week or 2. Always early in the expansion, avoid crafting stuff that you don't need, but if you want to play something, you can see which decks you have the cards for and go from there. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and check out my Twitch channel.